All right, how's it going, everybody? Coach Jerry here with Biohacking Truth, where we lead you on a journey of self-discovery and inspired action so that you can live an optimized life, pain-free fitness, and look great naked. And we do that by offering a divergent solution, right, that incorporates the whole body, mind, spirit. But everything we do is looked at in an integrated fashion. We look at root cause, we trace things back to their origin, and really that philosophy goes through in all areas of your health and wellness. So today we're talking about the physical, and today I want to share with you how weakness in one area of the body can really spread, and it's really like a circuitry, right? I mean, you've got weakness here, and it'll spread over to here, and that'll cause further weakness, and then there's this loop of weakness and injury occurring, and that's kind of the aging cycle that we're used to seeing. And I want to kind of explain to you how that happens, give you an example, and let you know that there are ways around it, and there are ways you can stay ahead of this curve, you can stay ahead of this game. So does that mean you're never going to get injured? Well, no, obviously not. You're going to get injured, but it's really a great lesson to take that injury, trace it back to what really caused it, and learn from that, strengthen, stretch, and realign. And then from there, you've got a foundation of knowledge and wisdom that you can build on, and you just keep that process going. Constant and never-ending improvement. So that doesn't change no matter what the situation is. That's the way we want to be looking at life, because we're here to experience, we're here to capitalize, we're here to optimize. Let's do it. All right. So in this particular example, we're going to talk about, it's actually a personal case of mine, how plantar fasciitis actually ended up resulting in really severe hip pain, discomfort. And it's actually a problem that still creeps up on me today. So it's one of those things that I'm aware of it. I feel it coming on, and I can mitigate the circumstances, and I'm still working on correcting these imbalances in myself. So basically what happened with me is I had plantar fasciitis for about 3 years, and I'd mentioned that earlier. And that created a real pathology in my ability to use my foot flexors properly, stabilize my heel, ankle, and a lot of it had to do with obviously glute inhibition and core function as well. So what ended up manifesting for me, what ended up occurring is problem in this region here, and also my knee. So medial knee instability. And I'll explain to you kind of what we determined was the cause of that. So through years of plantar fasciitis, I developed a faulty gait pattern. So I developed not a heel strike or a toe strike. So when I did a heel strike, which is when your heel strikes first and then you push off your toe, obviously it would hit this real tender area of my foot where the micro tears were in my plantar fascia. Now, conversely, if I were to forefoot strike, which is when you land with this part of your foot on the ground first and push off, which typically the faster you go, the slower you're walking, the more tendency you have to heel strike. And the faster you go, the more tendency you have to forefoot strike. And that is also influenced by the shoes you're wearing as well. But we won't go into that on this video. But what would happen was I would experience pain because I had weakness, inflammation, and micro tears going up my Achilles here and up my calf. So forefoot striking was painful. Heel striking was painful. So I developed this gait where I'd kind of flat foot strike, and then I'd sort of push off the medial part of my foot. Okay. So it was a very, very compensatory gait pattern. And I could still do okay in most activities. But what ended up occurring is I was really putting these adductors in my hips because of my particular hip anatomy in a position that they didn't really like. So I was stretching them and then exploding with those. So anytime I was running, jumping, sprinting, anything like that, I was putting my hip in a position to where, I was driving off the inside of my foot with the entire foot to kind of to compensate. So I would strike with kind of the flat inside part of my foot, and that would keep my heel off the ground and keep me from having to push off on the forefoot, and I'd push off that way. So if you can kind of imagine, and also I had a strategy of internally rotating my hips using these adductors as opposed to my glute, or at least integrating them. So I was really doing a lot to increase the demand that I was putting on here. So again, just recap: weak flexors, flat feet, not pushing off the way I'm supposed to. I've compromised my gait. So basically I'm just using this big old flat board on the bottom of my feet is basically essentially what I was doing. And I was using muscles to push, pivot, and explode. I was putting them in a stretch position, then asking them to explode. which is a recipe for strain and injury. And so that's exactly what happened right around here. And this is all basically due to weakness traveling up the kinetic chain. And I also had an inability to integrate my inner core with my outer core. Okay, so I mean, I had plenty of strength in here, but the integration wasn't there. So working on that, integrating that, strengthening the flexors, really working on my gait pattern, soft tissue manipulation on and strengthening these in a different range of motion has really helped. But it all boils down to taking the time to fix what's broken here. Okay, so this is the symptom. This is a symptom of my inability to stabilize my pelvis because my inner unit demand, the stability demand travels down the kinetic chain. And it's just this basically you have the center of your body, which is the core here. So you've got that's your center of gravity. Okay. Everything above it and below it is, if that's all functioning and integrated, the stability starts in the center and it travels up and down. Well, you got instability in the center, got instability down at the bottom. And that's just, you've got kinetic energy traveling up and down an unstable column. It's a recipe for strain and injury. So what can you do about this if you've got something like that where you're manifesting? You might not know your hip pain is caused from your weak foot flexors. You might not know actually your neck pain is generating from weak foot flexors and an unintegrated core. So what can you do about that? First thing you got to do is you got to test your core function. You got to test how strong your inner unit core is, how strong your outer unit core is. If there's a gap in that, you got to close the gap. And there are ways you can do that. We have special assessments that we do to really quantify really where you are there. And then from there, like we mentioned in the previous video about plantar fasciitis, okay, is you've got to fix any strength and length and tension imbalances that have occurred up the chain as a result. So we're strengthening the center of the gravity right here. We're strengthening, integrating that. We're strengthening and integrating the bottom, the feet, and then we've got to correct what's going on here. So there's a lot of like length and tension imbalances that occur because everything works to stabilize your spine. And so this just recruits what gets called on. So if we've got extra need for explosion, through a particular range of motion, even though this muscle group might not be responsible for the start of the explosive move or whatnot, it's going to be called upon to do that. So we've got to correct length tension imbalances here, correct integration, weakness in the core, and we've got to really strengthen the flexors, get the proprioceptive mechanisms in play, and get your dexterity going in your toes. So really that's basically the root cause of what happened with me. And it's just an example of what can happen with just about anybody. And I've got countless examples of people that have pathologies that develop in places that they would never think, or because they have flat feet, or because they have a tight psoas muscle and whatnot. But your body's a complete integrated unit. It's a system of systems. It works together with your endocrine system, with your visceral system, with the way you think, the way you breathe. All that affects your body's overall level of tension, its level of balance and attunement. All that is affected. So that's why it's really important to pay attention to all aspects of our health. And so if we're interested in these concepts that we're sharing with you, the integrated nature of our health, how one little seemingly tiny thing can really throw the entire system off, I strongly encourage you to go to our website, go to biohackingtruth.com/guide. And what you're going to find in there is a really succinct breakdown of our 5 pillars of wellness. And with that, there are exercises that you can apply. They're simple. They're very focused and targeted to achieve a specific result. And in that, you can kind of play around with this holistic health model, and you can see how, you can go through this guide and you can find where you might be the most out of balance, right? And if you think about this system of systems example here, just apply that to any part of your health and wellness, because it's all operating under the same concept, system of systems integrated. Okay. So in that guide, you're going to find a bunch of different exercises. You'll be able to find exactly where you might be lacking balance in your overall level of fulfillment. And it's for you. You can keep it for the rest of your life. And if you have any other questions or anything else that you would like to see us cover as far as your total health, wellness, your ability to thrive, leave them in the comments, or you can reach out to me directly, jerry@biohackingtruth.com. So I hope you found value in this, and I hope the concepts are sinking in, because this is the real important thing. We can talk about, the this and the that and the plantar fasciitis and how it leads, and we can talk about very specific muscular anatomy, neural anatomy. We can do all that, but the real important thing here, the real big message here, is the concept of the integrated body, the integrated person, the integrated health system, and how it ties into our mental, emotional, and spiritual state. Once you start getting a hold on that, then you can really start putting puzzle pieces together. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Leave comments down below, and feel free to reach out to us at any time with anything you'd like to learn more about. All right, peace, guys. Much love. Live well. Biohackingtruth.com.